All right, folks, one of the key lessons we learned from the great Ronald Reagan, my former boss, was a very simple but powerful phrase: peace through strength. Right now, we have neither peace nor strength. Now, to be sure, after Joe Biden's catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan, Biden has not launched any new shooting wars, but he is bringing the U.S. deeper and deeper into the Russia-Ukraine war. He's already spent roughly $113 billion in the past year, undoubtedly much more on the way if he has his way. Meanwhile, at home, because of Biden's big government socialism, his massive inflationary spending and tax hikes and overregulations, his war on fossil fuels specifically, and the war on business in general, because of all that, we have a weak economy, expanded only 1% last year with a 6.5% inflation rate, and the majority of economists and business leaders are fearful over a recession threat later this year or next. During the Reagan tax-cutting recovery, the economy was growing nearly 5% annually for 7 years. Today, the Bidens, who favor redistribution and punishing success, apparently are satisfied with an economy growing barely above 1%. The Reagan boom doomed Soviet communism. The Biden slump encourages our enemies, Russia and China. And that is why I say that today we have neither peace nor strength. Biden may be chest-thumping his defiance over Ukraine, but the reality is his failed diplomacy a year ago was a key cause of the Russian invasion. Instead of harsh economic sanctions ahead of the invasion, Biden imposed weak sanctions after it was too late and the Russian troops were already there. Even today, with respect to all the aid and the weapons we have sent to Ukraine, many military experts still believe Biden is a day late and a dollar short. I spoke briefly to former President Trump over the weekend. He was emphatic that were he still in the White House, he would have already negotiated a peace deal. A number of Republicans in the House and Senate yearn for such an effort, but Biden never talks about it. And indeed, as former Defense Secretary Mark Esper writes, and I will quote, "What is lacking is a clear sense of how Washington wants this conflict to end and then resourcing that outcome," end quote. Mr. Esper will be here in just a moment. Now comes China, almost chomping at the bit to take advantage of the American weakness. It's been several weeks since the Chinese balloon fiasco, and the Bidens still have done nothing about it. One can only imagine Trump slamming into them with another big round of tariffs and/or export controls and further decoupling the Chinese and American economies. But the Bidens have done nothing. It's a national embarrassment. The Chinese wouldn't even take the calls of American diplomats and defense officials. And when their foreign minister met in Munich with Secretary of State Blinken, he mocked America. Did nothing to discourage rumors that the Chinese will not only be meeting with Russia this spring, but may be planning to provide lethal military weapons to Vladimir Putin. Biden's UN ambassador called that a red line. But Joe Biden's former boss, Barack Obama, gave red lines a bad name years ago when he did nothing after Russia and its ally Syria continued to use chemical weapons in the Mideastern conflict. To go back to Reagan, when there's strength at home, that leads to strength abroad. But weakness at home leads to weakness abroad. Right now, the Biden story is just weak and weaker. And that is my riff.